Hello guys, and glad to have you on board again today, TL number 10. So this is definitely a switching point today, and rather than going right into trend following context, and I know that's definitely what you guys want out there, I'd rather like to be honest with you. I thought about making an intermediate podcast in here, kind of a practical example on how you can definitely put these things into market perspective, how to actively learn, okay? So technical practice in here, how you progress from beginner, being totally a white guy. Remember that I'm putting some stamps into every video out there. The white ones are for you to prepare in order to get into trading. The green ones means you understood the pattern and you're getting to apply it into real-time market conditions. And all of these things are a step-by-step process. So if you try to cross the steps earlier than expected, remember that's exactly what we talk about into the into the white preparation. So don't try to rush things. Take the appropriate amount of time to slowly but steadily progress. It is a long process, and you might want to do it faster than expected because everyone wants to. We're all fucking impatient by nature, but you're gonna have to work this one out. Anyway, so today I'm gonna explain you how to step-by-step progress in a very practical way. So look at the white videos first to prepare yourself and have the appropriate mindset. But when it comes to technical stuff, this is exactly how we're going to explain today, okay? How to put in direct access to markets the things that you've learned looking at the green videos, okay? So in order to do this, there's not going to be any PowerPoint support today. We're going to write into charts and make some practical examples. So let's jump into it. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in here is one simple things. Okay, sorry about that. Though you can use any asset you want, but I sincerely invite you to use stock indices as a reference out there. Definitely the easiest way to navigate, but not the only solution. And basically the US stock market have recently been such a fucking pain in the ass for range trade because of the absolutely stupid ranging structure, expanding wedges. In here, they're definitely the worst possible case scenario for third range boundaries highlightement. But still, even in those harder contexts, being able to highlight the pattern is real great. So even though in here it's not going to be easy, we're still going to do it, okay? So what matters is that you're going to put yourself into a step-by-step process of highlighting third range boundaries. And in order to do so, the first thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be, okay, just give me a second. I'm going to real quick switch. So first things first, you don't give a shit about the signals in the beginning, okay? You just hide them. That's definitely the highest thing, the simplest thing. So go to the simplest possible setup. Don't put the zigzag in motion, okay? Hide the extreme channels. You absolutely don't need to use complex stuff out there, okay? You really want to go simple. You want to show something like a 20-period moving average, definitely going to help you assessing that a trend has gone on. 20 or 50 moving average just work exactly in this context. Hide the historical context. Make things as simple as possible, okay? All right, in here, you've got everything you need. What I need you guys to understand is the process of highlighting the patterns on existing markets, okay? You need to be aware and to assess that, okay, I see a trend, reversing context, pull back into a negative context, facing the trend, moving average going bullish, definitely confirms that a trend has gone on and is now neutralized. So this is not kind of trendy, it's just neutral. And at that point, you reverse prices in the context. You're totally able to trade in the context in here because you've holded a close below the context and you totally fucked it all up. So it's definitely appropriate in here. You needed a minimum 61% retracement, but this is exactly where you would do things, okay? So in here is a context third range boundary. You need to find these ones, okay? I definitely need you guys to be able to figure these one out. Let's scroll back in time, okay? What you want to be doing is I suggest you use those dots. They're definitely appropriate. And I suggest you can use a color code in here. So let's set this thing in motion. This is just a guideline. If you don't want to follow this, I mean, it's up to you. But if you want to use the Discord as a review stuff, and we're going to talk about this later on, I suggest you use this color code. So use two sets of sized dots, use tiny dots for trend channel requirements and use big dots for context highlighting of the third range boundaries. Okay, we're going to talk about trend channels later on. The color code is use red or blue for the trending range context, when you're going to have necessary conditions, or at least you think they are, in order to be able to trade inside the context. Okay, use whether this is dark gray or absolute black for the neutral range third range boundary. Okay, classical stuff, so you can make a difference between the two. If you misplace them, or if you don't necessarily know if this is a trending range or a neutral range, remember that, always use the neutral range. Okay, but try to highlight these things. If you highlight the area being inside the context, I want you guys to place a red or blue dot. Okay, if you wait for prices to be on top of the resistant context, then that's a normal 76% retracement type of range. Okay, so be able to make the difference and figure out the difference. If you're not really familiar with that, no big deal, but try to put yourself ahead of this exercise. I also want you guys to be able to figure something else, okay? Which is, as you do this thing, there is another pattern that you might not be aware of. So let me just figure this one out if there is an opportunity. So there is a big, beautiful third range boundary out there. I'll give you a few seconds to figure this one out. Do you guys see it? Okay, do you see this one in here on the context? And that is inside the context, so it is a red one. Okay, so I hope you've seen this one. If you figured this one in here, then no way, no. Bullish context, reversed, pullback, this is where it is, not there, okay? So I hope you do understand how this thing works, okay? But as you get familiar with this exercise of plotting the context boxes appropriately, I want you guys to go down a more difficult level, okay? So it's a step-by-step process. First of all, each and every step must be validated. So either you use a more experienced trader within private messages or whatever, you build yourself a group, I don't give a shit. But this is also why we've created this Discord, so you guys can use the community power to exchange, being reviewed by more experienced traders. So this is a hub more than anything else. So let me just switch to Discord for a second. Okay, so this is what it looks like. What you want to be caring about when you get into the Discord is that you won't be able to post into the analysis crypto, analysis forex, and stock market, because this is reserved for people who actually manage the third range boundary. So until you get your green color reward, and you only get there by being sufficient enough highlighting third range boundary with quality, and then you'll ask either a moderator or someone that has a higher degree than you do, and they'll be able to attribute this this green color to you. So make sure you deserve it. In order to deserve, you need to show some proof that you're able to highlight third range boundary with enough quality. In order to do so, I invite you to share the knowledge. So use this thing, okay, review some third range boundary, share them in there, so you're going to have more experienced traders reviewing them and saying either they're right or wrong. And more importantly, if they are wrongly placed, they'll explain you what you probably have done wrong out there. So this is great, because if you do it well, you progress and you solidify knowledge, okay? If you do it wrong, then you're going to learn what's wrong, which means progress as well. It's only beneficial for you, okay? And of course, if you want more explanation, ask the people about why and how to progress. It's really, the more incentive you get, the better the reward for you. The more you participate, the faster you progress. So lots of you guys want to make things faster and want to jump in and cross the steps as fast as possible. And let me tell you one thing, the easiest and most rational way to progress is to open up and share within the community. I don't really give a shit. I don't gain anything from this. This thing is just a hub. The more messages doesn't make the Discord more attractive to me. It's just for you. It's a hub. We've built this thing for you guys to progress within. So either you could build your own tiny Discord with other beginners and review your trades among beginners, or, which I think is the most probable and reliable thing to do into the Discord, use the more experienced traders who know how to place those third range boundary without problems to review. So you've got a more qualified review out there, okay? Anyway, you do as you please. If you want to remain into the silent majority, I totally understand that, but you definitely should do the opposite way. If you want to open up and share, you're definitely going to progress a lot faster than that. More importantly, making mistakes is key to success in trading. So don't fear about sharing some bad third range boundaries. Like I said, it's an only positive thing out there. If you're wrong, you're going to learn something without making losses. So it's a free progress. And that is, believe me, something that many people don't yet understand, and they rather like to make mistakes with real money, and that's stupid. If you want to make mistakes, you rather want to make them demo. Anyway, let's move on, okay? So as you highlight your third range boundary on the context and you manage to do it well, and you have made some of them being reviewed, you're still far from being green, okay? Though this is the first step. As you validate this one, move to the next one, which is going to be just putting a slightly bit more difficult context to this third range boundary highlightement. You're going to go right there into your style settings, and you're going to put your trend support and trend resistance into a more visible level. That's just a trick that I share with you guys, because visually it's going to make things easier. And now you're going to do the same fucking job, but in a shorter time frame. Okay, why do you do this? Because it's going to help you preventing some of the classical mistakes of third range boundary misplacement, which is placing it into a higher time frame range. Okay, so remember what we've seen into this pattern. Okay, as you got a third range boundary in the context, there is no trend channel third range boundary down the corner anytime soon. As long as you don't get out of the range, there will be no more lower time frame boundaries. Understood? Okay. So in here, for example, if you would say, okay, bearish trend, pull back into the context, reversing, bam, there is a third range boundary. Fuck no, this is a totally different trade. Okay. We're definitely going to take this trade, but for a totally different reason. There is no third range boundary out there. Okay. So please don't do that. Okay. After a major trend range boundary, as long as you're still in the ranging context, don't do anything, okay? No lower time frames boundary after a context one. But that doesn't mean there are no prior ones, like, oh, we make new high points, okay, we reverse the trend channel, but not the context, and we pull back. Oh, isn't that a third range boundary into the lower time frame there? Yes, there is one. So this is something I'd like you guys to highlight. In here is the trend channel range boundary. So this is the second difficulty level of this exercise, being able to plot two time frames range boundary at once in the same chart, being able to highlight these ones because they're going to prevent you from misplacing ones later on into shorter time frame ranges, but also you'll be able to highlight, oh, what is that? That's the pullback. So even though you're still not yet trading trend channels or trend following perspective and context, you're still going to be able to highlight quite some valuable stuff. Oh, isn't there a trend as well? Oh, reversing context, there is a third range boundary. This one hasn't been traded, but this one definitely is one. It was a neutral one because it has been totally fucked up, but it's still a price we care about. As for example, this will give you this buying entry and eventually help you building on top of this bottom. Oh, great. Okay. Oh, guess what? There is another one in here. We've made higher high points. We've reversed the trend channel, but not the context. And therefore, there is a third range boundary. I want you guys to be able to figure this one out. Okay? We definitely need this. You can definitely see that there has gone quite a trend out there. Okay? This is not a range in the shorter time frame. But these ones just preceded by a bear move, which means we don't trade them, but you need to highlight them. Okay? Don't trade, because in here you definitely have a bear move followed by a bull move. Generally means you're in a much higher time frame range, but you still need to highlight these. Okay, so let's move on. Where are the other ones? In here we finally break the range. Okay, oh, we reverse the context, pull back. So here's the third range boundary, right? Well, no, nope. In here is going to be your 4 color. This is definitely something we've talked about into the previous videos, but haven't gone into much detail. I promised I would, so here it is. In here is one classical pattern in which the indicator is lagging. So in here, the third range boundary isn't there. It is there. It's just that the indicator was lagging to catch up on this one. Let me explain what that pattern is and how you can highlight and replace correctly those misplaced those misplaced third range boundaries, okay? Because in here, what you're actually dealing with is the fifth range boundary. It's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So this is the fifth range boundary out there, not the third. And sometimes this will happen. The indicator structure will highlight the pattern on the fifth range instead of the third one, but you need to be able to replace it. Generally, most of the time, these patterns behave this way. You get the reverse, the second range boundary just got real close to the trend channel, but not enough to reverse it. And then, as it pullbacks, makes no new high points, and then, in a second stage, reverses the context, okay? But it needs to do this, roll across the context, but just close enough to really be visible without enough strength to reverse it, because they are countermeasures into the algorithms to prevent harsh reversal of the context, okay? And sometimes these countermeasures will save your asses. Sometimes it will introduce misplacement and lag on detection, okay? So here's one of those examples. When you see this pattern pulling back to the trend channel, but not enough to reverse, pull backing without making new high points, and then breaking it on the second stage means the third range boundary just happened, but it hasn't been detected yet. The indicator sensibility was too low, but it happens, okay? Nothing is ever going to be perfect with an algorithm. But you need to be able to highlight that in here, this is the fifth range boundary, so replace the third range boundary into its actual position. So this is why I suggest you use this green color as a reference. Green means I detected this pattern, but I had to replace it manually, which means the indicators was lagging. I figured this one out right there, but I had to manually replace the pattern. Okay, so that gives us four colors. The black one or dark gray one, which is neutral range boundary, well placed. You've got the colored blue and red ones that says this is a trending range at play, okay, with different sizes. And you've got the green pattern saying I've replaced manually because of indicator misplacement, okay? Pure and simple. 4 colors, 2 time frames, and do the shit over and over and over again. When you master this second layer of difficulty, which means, first of all, you'll be able to place them correctly onto context. Secondly, you get to be able to place them into 2 different time frames at once. Okay, you get to progress to level 3, which is we're now going to do the same exercise. Okay, but instead of looking at markets that already have happened, you're going to put yourself into replay territory, okay? So use the replay function and do the same thing, okay? You need to be able to do the same exercise, okay, in real-time market. In here, figure out that you're in a range. The latest third range boundary is in here, so as long as you don't break it, there is no other third range boundary to show up. You can use the shortcut functions from your keyboard, which is shift plus the right arrow, and basically you can add new bars as you use this shortcut, okay? And if you press the button and keep it holded, then it basically just shows up, okay? So you remove the finger and you pose this thing. Real great, okay? So in here, what just happened? Reversing the context. And when you see this, even though we still haven't yet reversed to the context, you should be able to see the pattern touching context, touching the trend channel, rebouncing without making new high, and then breaking. Damn it, there is a third range boundary that is delayed. Okay, still the indicator hasn't yet detected it, but it's definitely there. Okay, move on. Okay, so that means we're in a range into this time frame. So as long as you don't break out of this range, there is no other boundaries. Okay, remember you place your trend line. Jesus, I'll make it. Okay, so as long as you don't break, there is no other third range boundary. So, okay, we move on. Made new highs, so we can start all over again, looking for a potential trend neutralizing. Okay, reversed context. So here comes a third range boundary. But man, that's discussed about there because it could eventually be delayed in here as well out there. I would say this one still feels like, man, we've gotten real close and we've rebounded without making new highs. I mean, this one I would agree. If you put it out there with a green color, I would say okay. If you put it out there with a red color, I would say okay as well. okay? But in here anyway, we're breaking on top of the context, so you need to have at least 76. So here's your area, and this one is a black one, okay? And then you move on. Oh shit, that's not the right shortcut. Okay, so all right, this one definitely worked out anyway. Okay, new highs, so we keep on doing this party. As long as the context isn't reversed, we can still play with the trend channel, okay? Playing with the trend channel. Oh man, that's solid. We're finally reversed. So a third range boundary is coming across into this thing. So I don't know if we've had 61% retracement out there, but I would say this is where it is. So I don't know if we enter the context in here. We probably have gone real close. So I think this one just worked out anyway. All right. Oh shit, I'm sorry about this. Don't use control plus right arrow, otherwise it does this stuff. So it really shift right arrow. Okay, so third range boundary that worked out but got invalidated later on. This is definitely the pullback type of stuff, but I'll teach you all about it into the more advanced stuff. So you know that the next market top is generally a very probable reverse. Okay. Okay, so you will start looking for reverse patterns out there. Is the market on the verge to reverse? You don't look at signal. Oh, anyway, I'm playing. Oh, this would be a fairly attractive price to profit take. Okay, let's see if it reversed. Oh, magic. Okay, so reverse. This time, third range boundary at play once again. Is this a bearish range context? Yes, we definitely have fucked the bulls and had 61% in the context out there. Just figuring out if the market will react or not. Oh, once again, wrong shortcut. Okay, so the market totally fucked this pattern, which means trend is still at play. Even though we had several chances to reverse this trend, it actually didn't, which means next time we're very likely going to reverse the context. How do I know that? This is one of the patterns I'll teach you. Okay, oh, reverse the trend channel once again. Are we going to get a third range boundary? Yes. Okay, this one as well has fucked the support context, so definitely able to trade within the context. Oh man, another market top. That's huge. Okay. Oh, this time we're gonna make the reversal on the context channel probably. Still didn't. Oh man, that's huge. But that is another pattern in here. Two third range boundary in the same level. You definitely know that the trend is soon to terminate. Okay. Here's where it goes. Why did we buy this level? Because that's just a pullback of a third range boundary that just got totally fucked up. But we're waiting for the appropriate time in which this goddamn thing will actually get to break the context. Normally, as we get out there, as you can see, anytime we've shown some weaknesses, the market just bought them and made new historical highs. So in here, the pattern is still at play. That definitely is a sign of a much, much bigger trend going on. Definitely weekly or monthly time frame in here. But still, we can see that the things are weakening and we're sooner or later gonna get the context broken down. We're just waiting for the appropriate risk management to this. Trend channel still bullish, context as well. All right, here. Is this one going to be the right one? I would definitely feel like it is. Yes, this one works. Oh, Jesus fuck. All these ones didn't work. They got totally broken and just bought as a pullback later on, which is one pattern I'll teach you. And this one actually works out. So now you know the trend is about to be over. Next time is fucking up the context. All right. Jesus, they still keep pushing. Okay, another one. Same level, real danger, and this one validates as well. In here, danger is really rising. We're gonna fuck this support context. Here it is. Oh man, it took a freaking long time. So now that we fucked the context, means there is the context third range boundary down the corner. Where is it? Oh, shit, too fast. Slow down. Here it is. Okay, inside the context, more than 76% fib, still real great. Okay, at that point, we're fine with this one. end of the pattern, end of today's exercise. When you master these things, being able to see and plot all the third range boundaries, okay? All the stuff I added on top of that are experience patterns that I'll teach you far later on, okay? But what I care is you being able to place those third range boundary well, okay? The ones that worked, these ones and these ones, and also the ones that didn't, because they're gonna give us some informations, okay? Very crucial information for us out there coming from those patterns. When you absolutely master this thing, okay, you still need to understand that what you're doing out there is playing over fear of uncertainty, because as you play with this thing, you don't know what's happening next, okay? On the first level of difficulty, you knew what happened later on. Now you do not. You play the game. But you feel absolutely no impatience because you control time. You control the new candles to be plotted, okay? So here is a good introduction to prepare your brain for fear of uncertainty biases. But remember that you will not work those biases until you real trade, okay? So as you do all this with demo trading, now that you well-placed things on 2 time frames in a replay mode, if you do this well, it is time to work in real money exercise right now. You have no choice but to go real money. Otherwise, your progression will stand still forever. It is about time, even if you don't make these things perfectly, as long as you do it decently, that you make those things reviewed, like you take a screenshot of this thing, okay? You take this screenshot, you post it into Discord, and if you made several good reviews in a row, you're good enough to go real money, okay? Don't be stupid to go real money without mastering at least these things comfortably enough in replay mode. It's really a step-by-step process. First of all, highlight them in the context only. Secondly, add up the trend channel, okay? Third, you need to get into replay mode to sense the first glimpse of uncertainty, okay? And finally, you need to work those biases in real money, which means you're going to make mistakes. When you turn to real money, you're going to do shit because uncertainty biases will be there and impatience biases as well. So your next goal, step 4 of your progression in order to be a mature green guy into the progression of my strategy, means you're going to have to make mistakes. But first of all, you learn the pattern. Then you get to progress with managing, applying these rules you've learned into real market territory, and your biases will be at work. Remember what we've said. You're going to make mistakes because you're going to have an amygdalian response to stress, which means you're going to misplace information, you're going to bend the rules, you're going to do shit. But that is necessary. That is part of your progression. Don't blame yourself. Instead, have a rational mindset. These things are inevitable. We all make those mistakes, but we want to grow from them. We just don't want to avoid making the mistakes, okay? We just want to embrace error as a progress anywhere in the strategy. Generally, making mistakes is the easiest way to progress. If you fear of making mistakes, that's a totally stupid bias, okay? We got more than enough information to go to conclusion. All right, that's a 30-minute video, but I could hardly do less than that. So I hope it wasn't too much for you guys to handle. So the goal in here is to give you a structure to follow, step-by-step thing to get to progress. Don't try to rush things. Don't remember that. Impatience biases can also work in your way to progress in the strategy. So have yourself a mindset. Once again, the core information is that it's going to take 6 months to a year to get there, not to just learn the pattern. The pattern generally takes a few weeks, eventually a couple months to get there, but practice first. Demo trading is absolutely necessary out there. Why the fuck would you get to real trade if you don't even master the pattern yet? So learn to control the pattern. And there is a simple step-by-step strategy to do so. The first one is highlight the context only in the first place, make your trades reviewed by a more experienced trader, and then get to add up the two time frame layers by being able to highlight the same pattern in the context and the trend channel in the same time. That will help you saying layers of time frame, which is absolutely necessary to go further down the road with the strategy. Later on, use the replay on top of that as a third step. Okay, once this third step is well mastered, not perfectly mastered, but good enough, real-time trade and real money trade is absolutely necessary. In that perspective, you might want to deal with as many options as possible. Any fucking asset available out there. There are endless numbers of stocks and whatever. Just scroll through any possible asset to look for third range boundary and trade them with the minimum possible leverage. If it's a stock, just buy one stock. If that's a CFD contract, one micro contract, whatever that is, but just get to trade this thing so you get an emotional impact on your trades. Because otherwise there will be no biases. So the goal in here is not to make money once again, but just to fool yourself and expose yourself to these biases. So you're going to make mistakes that will help you working around. Remember the mesolimbic versus mesocortical, all of those things, they only work if you use real money. Okay? I'm going to make mistakes, so the tiniest possible amount of money. The amount of money is just making things more and more emotional. So if you use bigger position sizing, you're just going to feel stronger emotions, which is going to be harder to handle. Simple as that. The goal in here is that after 6 months to a year, eventually, you'll get to totally master the pattern. It will get absolutely natural to highlight the third range boundary in real-time context, trading them with real money, and you have significantly increased the position sizing later on, going tiny but steadily toward a 1 to 1.5% capital exposure into those trades. And in that perspective, normally after 6 months to a year, you generally worked out most of your impatience and uncertainty biases. Okay, these things will never be perfect. You never get totally managing these impatience and uncertainty biases, but you just need to control them enough to put yourself into a rational trading thing, okay? What we want is not to delete those biases. They always be there. We just want to dampen their impact on our trading management. Simple as that. As you're good enough with those biases, as you master the third range boundary, it is appropriate time to move to the next perspective and the next podcast. If you just do these things too fast, which means you're too curious, you want to know what the fuck is going on with the trend stuff, you're so excited about it, well, this is really where the things are getting excited. But if you cannot control the impatience on just learning what we've just talked about, the first 10 videos, and mastering them before moving to the 11th one, then learn the impatience biases. If you really can't stand going and moving to the next video at that point without mastering the third range boundary and real money application, means you're already feeling impatient. You don't control yourself, so get to control your fucking self. In order to move to the next video, everything that has been said in the prior videos needs to be mastered. Otherwise, you're probably under impatience biases all along the way. Bye guys, see you into the next one, but don't rush things, please.